Hello everyone, friends. Thank you for visiting Bitcoin Adept. Today we will talk about the price of Bitcoin and our favorite altcoins. Because I believe that the market capitulation up phase has begun specifically for altcoins. As seen in many Telegram chats, YouTube channels, and on Twitter, right now many people feel a strong disappointment over the alt season. That never came. And you most likely also think, when looking at your altcoins, why the heck nothing is growing? Bitcoin has already grown quite well and went into correction, while altcoins are not moving at all. And guys, statistically, also in all the chats, when you look, people mostly have it in their spot wallets. Altcoins. That is, people are waiting for big multipliers because often the deposits are not large enough to, for example, buy Bitcoin or even Ethereum. And in the pursuit of big profits, people mainly bought altcoins. Well, there were also meme coins when there was a trend for them. And the capitulation in altcoins, I believe, yes, these are my thoughts, is the moment when faith in the altcoin market is lost. And this capitulation, it starts in the mind. That is, even large downturns can be waited out for some time, especially, even when Bitcoin was going down into the bear market, we reached the bottom. And mainly, many people understood that this was the bottom for Bitcoin, which essentially was also the bottom for altcoins. And remember how fun it was. Various bloggers were talking about it, yes, with video titles like top 20 altcoins to make you rich or top 50 altcoins for 100x returns, and so on. So, down here there were many videos, yes, and so on. When we were going up, they were also accompanied by statements that soon you would be rich. And it seemed like people understood that this was the market bottom for Bitcoin, that now there were good prices for altcoins. Although, guys, remember, did I ever tell you to buy altcoins at this stage? I told you that we would return to altcoins later, once Bitcoin was approaching its maximum values, because it's unknown which altcoins will survive. Trends with meme coins and various others, or with metaverses, they might fade into oblivion after some time. And what's the point if you, for example, buy some trendy coins that were trendy at the time but didn't reach their maximum values when it was expected of them? But guys, what I will tell you is that the first good move in any market is to buy at the bottom. You need to choose some asset, of course, not just some fleeting trendy asset, and not be afraid to buy at the beginning, even though it will be scary to buy at the bottom. And then, guys, the most interesting part is when, for example, Bitcoin enters for a long time. You need to hold on to these altcoins and reach the stage of complete market disappointment. That is the capitulation power of altcoins, which usually happens after a couple of years. So initially, they shake you out with the price. It's very scary to buy here. And then in the end, they shake you out again. Psychologically, when faith runs out during all this time, a person cannot just sit and not average down their altcoins. Take yourself, for example, and of course, if you bought altcoins here, it doesn't matter where, you definitely averaged down at some low values. Then they went higher, you added a little more money there, another month passed. Altcoins, for example, fell, and you added money again. And the second stage of the market, the next one that happens after this, where it's scary to buy, is the capitulation of altcoins. I assume it started somewhere around here. An initial kind of capitulation, a warning sign, you could say. The main, I think, resistance, or rather disappointment in altcoins we experienced recently, when Bitcoin went down a bit. Has this ended? I think not. Because there are still many resilient ones. Many are shouting, "Hooray, I will hold on." But guys, the market is stronger than you. And what if Bitcoin goes up at some point and altcoins grow a little, plus 20, plus 30, plus 40%, and Bitcoin, for example, starts to roll down here? Everyone will definitely understand that a bear market has begun, and the drop in altcoins here, it will be colossal. They can drop by 50%, by 60%. And this belief can suddenly, guys, completely dry up, since altcoins never reach their alt season. And even if you haven't exited altcoins yet, and even if you don't exit during the next drop, I will show you at what levels the market is for you. It will throw you out. So let's quickly look at the Bitcoin price and its nearest movements. This is our 8-hour chart. You saw that we went deep down, approximately from here with the maximum local values. And Then, guys, it starts to form. This kind of triangle narrowing, volatility is gradually decreasing. And this narrowing strongly reminds me of the beginning. It seems to me of the capitulation of altcoins, which was approximately 4 months ago. Look, when all this fluctuation was happening for more than half a year, you saw, yes, when Bitcoin went down for a correction, the altcoins also didn't feel very well, dropping even further. Yes, especially in relation to Bitcoin. And during this global, you could say, downturn, altcoins reached many of their minimum values. And I assume that's just my thoughts that this is where the capitulation of altcoins began. And then the situation only worsened. That is a similar situation. You see a local maximum value. Here we had a deep squeeze down, just like it happened recently. After which we grew back up, went down again, and once more the altcoins showed. Another very lousy result, even worse than when we were here. This is about Bitcoin. That is, a similar story happened with such a squeeze of both the support and resistance levels. In this manner, just like now. After which Bitcoin broke out of this triangle and went up growing. Since Bitcoin also needed to grow, altcoins followed Bitcoin as well. Now, speaking about Bitcoin, about its price in the near future, let's switch to the weekly chart. First, let's look at its global targets and then we'll see where it might go in such local movements. So for this, let's activate my signal indicator. The first one will be the Ishimoku Cloud Adept. On the weekly chart, everything is fine with Bitcoin. Even though it had a correction, now it's in the final phase of the bull market. All strong signals are upwards. The overall signal is also strong. The 3-day chart. Let's switch closer to the local ones. Here, the situation is somewhat worse on average. There are weak signals downwards. Overall signal of consolidation. Well, let's look at the daily chart. Here, there will probably be neutral signals because it's being squeezed. Yes, neutral signals, consolidation. And let's look at a very local signal. Most likely was weak. Signals will already be noticeable here. Upwards, but again, consolidation, that is, there are hints of Bitcoin breaking higher. This is regarding the Ishimoku Cloud Adapt. Let's check the Golden Grail, see if a signal has appeared. A buy signal has appeared, it wasn't there yesterday. And this is in general a pretty good local sign. And the last signal indicator. Bitcoin, Adept, buy and sell. Currently there are no signals. We had a buy signal from March 5th. Well, let's switch to the 3-day chart. Let's take a look at the global signals we had for Bitcoin. For selling, for buying. Again, there are no signals right now. You need to watch at the moment when a signal is forming. Guys, I strongly advise everyone to install all of these signal indicators of mine. There are about 8 of them. It's absolutely free. And join our trading chats. Scroll down in the video description and here you will see lines like these. Get free access to closed trading chats, my signal indicators and trading literature. There are 2 ways. If you already have an account on the Bybit exchange, then you can simply switch to me. That is, become my referral on the Bybit exchange. It won't cost you a penny. Click on this official Bybit exchange link. You will land on the page. Here you insert my referral code 31329 and state the reason. I want to switch to the Adept. Click send. On this page, you should already be logged into your Bybit exchange account. Well, if you don't have an account yet, simply launch the bot in the video description. There is a simple instruction for registration and for gaining access to indicators and chats. In short, get it and use it. And now let's go back. Here we have a chart with Ethereum, a 3-day chart. And as I mentioned, I will show you approximately at what levels you will exit altcoins. Well, I'll take Ethereum for example. Although Ethereum is still relatively doing well, many altcoins are feeling worse. Especially those that people jumped into at the peaks of our last cycle. That is, look, even using Ethereum as an example, if people were buying here, not even at the maximum values, but even 30% lower, and then kept averaging or down, right here on these bounces, they averaged down and went on. It was a bit scary at first here. Very much so. That's why this part thought people, they often miss it and start averaging again only when they see that their asset is going up, starting to grow. And even if they didn't sell off out of fear here, they start averaging down further, somewhere around here, further averaging down here again. It probably gets a bit scary, but here, right here, it's really good. People start averaging down and they end up with something average between all these positions, since initially the main amount was invested. Right here, the main averaging down is done with some smaller amounts. So the average was, of course, lower than here, but not particularly low, at least not like this. I think these are the levels of those maximum values where Ethereum had already reached around 35 and 3800. And these are the levels at which people were at least breaking even. Because you know that young investors often invest in various altcoins and they don't have that much money. So the last of their money, some people even invest borrowed money, and then they sit and see all this horror. So look, a person invested $1,000, for example. Some invested less, others on the contrary, more. And then everything went down, it's just hanging here, and instead of 50, he now has only 5 left. He thinks, well, that's it, it's over. And these fluctuations drive him crazy because the amount is critical for him, and it has decreased. And even this 5,000, it sometimes becomes 10,000, then 3,000, then 7,000. And the person sits and thinks, why the hell did I get involved in all this if even he averages the position here? Then this goes on for a long time. Let's see how much time has passed here. Let's not even start from the high. Oh, let's start. That's all. From these values, when the correction began. That's until the moments when Ethereum started going up, guys. I remind you, we are now talking about Ethereum, which at some point grew back quite well, unlike some altcoins, most of which didn't even do that. 778 days have passed. That's more than 2 years. And imagine, the person sits with these borrowed funds back and forth. What is he thinking? But everything will be, if it breaks even, I'll exit the market. To hell with it. I don't need all this. Especially if Ethereum shows some small profit, for example, breaking even for this person here. Here he would have earned more, and the person exits the market happily, having once invested 50 and now being able to retrieve that 50. Again, I repeat, this is about Ethereum, about such positive moments that not everyone experienced. All right, thought the market, if some of these smart people took their money, some stayed, and some are greedier. The market went down, the person scratched their head, again it's a mess, the market grew back, and the person thinks, seems okay. In short, these stories started happening again. And at some point, after these values, the person either exits. During this fluctuation, or again, a portion of people exits it at these break-even moments. But there are still guys, some people left who transition, maybe from cycle to cycle, maybe those who invested in altcoins. For the first time this time, yes, in this cycle. And they, having watched various, for example, YouTubers, even me, although I never recommended buying altcoins, as I am a Bitcoin advocate, I have always supported Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum. And the remaining part of the people is still waiting for that mythical moment, that if Bitcoin reaches its maximum values, then at some point altcoins will also grow. And here, guys, I want to tell you something very important, possibly one of the most important things in the last probably 100 videos that possibly our paths now diverge from this moment. That is, we were buying Bitcoin at the lower levels. Everyone knows this. Even when I started my YouTube channel, my very first video was, we were here, and I said that Bitcoin would fall to the level of 17,800. Here I placed my largest order to buy, although I was buying it. A CDEF 25 and lower, and even lower than 7,800. And the average price for all of us turned out to be approximately $20,000. Now, Bitcoin is worth 90. How much is $1,000? That's a multiple. So it turns out that I gave people a chance, a good chance, a big one, to earn multiples. Well, for example, you invest $1 million, right? You pull out millions. Of course, not everyone has such deposits. Well, not at all, only a few. But this is figurative. You invest a ruble, you pull out rubles in 2 years. So that no one writes to me later? Yes. In Telegram chats, that I got us into altcoins, and because people I see have picked up such junk for themselves with various meme coins and unclear some other features like the pass play to earn, someone is still waiting from Telegram. These game coins that they will give some X somewhere, and guys, there is a very big, huge chance that they won't give, so get out of altcoins. But it's not that this is my advice to you, and here, perhaps our paths, as I already said, diverge. And then it becomes a high-risk moment. I continue to hold, of course, with Bitcoin, although I have been accumulating Bitcoin, as I have already shown you, at different levels. And I have also started to exit from it. I have exited about 40% from Bitcoin. The rest, I will wait. Around $60,000, $180,000, I will definitely leave. About 10%, yes. Well, if of course Bitcoin shoots up, say, to $400,000, I will sell. But I will leave 10% for the next cycle, no matter what. Yes, if it gets cheaper, it's not a big deal. I've already recouped my investment long ago. And the same goes for altcoins and, well, with Ethereum, yes, and other altcoins. I have them, I won't advertise them to you, although maybe in the next video I'll do a separate review on those coins that might. Trump might place his bet on them in the form of adding them to ETFs or adding them to reserves. But you need to understand these altcoins are purely for play for me. That is, if Bitcoin reaches some maximum value, if it does, and if there is an alt season, then all these altcoins will shoot up. If not, then to hell with them, everything will crash to the bottom. I will by no means average them down here. On the contrary, I will short them on futures until we reach some bottom values. And then I will see what's left. Because if you look at the Ethereum chart in relation to Bitcoin, not even its ratio. But how many ethers one Bitcoin is worth now? It turns out that at the moment our Bitcoin is worth Ether. And before that, we had a similar situation in the previous cycle when Bitcoin was growing stronger than Ether. And at some point, Bitcoin was falling and Taylor Sparcy less sage than Ether. So for a large amount of Ether here, how much Bitcoin could you buy? For 58 Ethers. But after that, well, you could say the alt season started. Ether began to outpace Bitcoin in growth. And this might happen again in the near future. This will be it. A reversal, and Ether will start to perform stronger than Bitcoin. But guys, I had to warn you that this is the case. The capitulation stage exists in different markets for Bitcoin, for altcoins. And right now, we might be in it. What to do in this case is up to you to decide, because capitulation is called that for a reason, as it will be difficult for you to endure it. Even if you are so smart, you watch the adept, you will keep sitting, but still not wait it out. Or wait it out. And that's all. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to hear my thoughts on the price of Bitcoin and altcoins. Also add all my signal indicators to monitor the market yourself and not depend on various bloggers, including me. Well, if you're too lazy to monitor it yourself, then join our trading chats where people, traders, and participants share their trades made on the exchange. Thank you to everyone who watched this video to the end. Bye everyone.